Hello everyone, myself Navyatha, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Cybersecurity and Data Science in MLR Institute of Technology. Today, I am going to discuss about the topic ER model in database management systems. The overview of presentation includes introduction to ER model, components of ER model and mapping cardinalities. So here let's go for types of attributes. So what are the attributes here? Mainly we have 6 types of attributes: simple attribute, composite attribute, derived attribute, single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute and key attributes. So let us discuss each one in detail. Coming to simple attribute, as the name itself suggests, it's very simple, which contains atomic values. So simple attributes are atomic values which cannot be divided further. That means the attribute can have only one value and that value cannot be divided further. Those attributes are called as simple attributes. For example, student's phone number is an atomic value. That means a student can have a phone number which cannot be divided further. Let us consider this one. So here roll number is also it can be considered as a simple attribute. Why? Because we cannot divide this roll number into different parts. For example, let us consider name. So the name can be divided into 2 parts or 3 parts: first name, middle name, last name. Right? First name, middle name, last name. So this name can be divided into number of parts. So this cannot be a simple attribute. Right? So what is the difference between simple attribute and other attributes? Is nothing but simple attributes has only one value which cannot be divided further. That is what the thing. Composite attributes. So what are the composite attributes? These are the attributes are made of more than one simple attribute. For example, student's complete name may have first name, last name, right? So this kind of attributes, an attribute which can be divided further can be called as composite attribute. A name can be divided into first name, last name or else middle name, and those kind of attributes are called as composite attributes. And the next type is derived attribute. So what is the derived attribute? It is one whose value is dynamic, that is not constant. It will be varied. For example, let us deal this one with an real-time example. Our age can't be static, right? Our age can't be static. Year by year, our age will be varied, and that kind of attributes are called as derived attributes, which are dynamic, which are not static. So it is one whose value is dynamic and derived from another attribute. So age can be derived from date of birth, right? That kind of attributes is called as derived attribute. So here age can be derived from date of birth. Age can be derived from date of birth, DOB. So this is called as what? Derived attributes, and it is represented by dotted ellipse. It is represented by dotted ellipse. Derived attributes are represented by dotted ellipse. Next, single valued attribute. So here the single value attributes contain a single value. That is what we call as social security number. Only unique value we have. Aadhaar card, PAN card. So whichever the attributes contain only single value, those attributes are called as single valued attributes. Next, multi-valued attributes. So those attributes that can have many values. For example, a student can contain many number of mobile numbers, right? That attribute is called as multi-valued attribute. Multi-valued attributes may contain more than one values. For example, a person can have more than one phone number or email address. So those kind of attributes are called as multi-valued attributes, and it is represented by double ellipse. So you can see here this phone number is represented by double ellipse. So phone number or mobile number, and it is represented by double ellipse. Next, the last one is key attributes. As I said, what are the key attributes? Which identifies the data uniquely. And these key attributes are those attributes that can identify an entity uniquely in an entity set. that attribute can be considered as key attribute. So here roll number is nothing but a key attribute. So how can we able to identify that this one is a key attribute? By using this diagrammatic representation. So if at all an attribute is underlined, then we can consider it as a key attribute. Right. So here if you observe roll number, here we have underlined this one. So it can be considered as an key attribute. So till now we have discussed about introduction to ER model. What is ER model? Who invented ER model? And next, what is ER diagram and the components of ER diagram, and the types of entities, strong entity, weak entity, the types of attributes, 6 types of attributes. Now let us deal with relationships. So what is a relationship? As I already told you, to relate 2 or more entities, so we used to define a relationship. So what is relationship set here? Set of relationships of same type is called as relationship set. Likewise, a relationship can have attributes called descriptive attributes. So in the same way, entity, this is an entity which is represented by rectangle and the attributes are represented by ellipses, right? So relationship is represented by a diamond or rhombus. So likewise, entity contain the attributes, relationship also contains the attributes, and those attributes are called as descriptive attributes. So here let us consider this example. Customer works in department. And here the customer can have the attributes like name, street and city. Departments can have the attributes like department number, department name and budget. Right. So here the attribute since, which is related to the works in relationship. That means customer works in a department from period. This attribute represents the time period, and that attribute is called as descriptive attribute, which is related to a relationship. And here degrees of relationship. So what are the degrees of relationship? We have here 3 types. So the number of entities participating in a relationship is called as degrees of. So for example, this is a relationship, right? So if this relationship, an entity, only single entity is participating to this relationship, then it is called as unary relationship. If 2 entities are participating in a relationship, then it is called as binary relationship. If 3 entities are participating, then it is called as ternary relationship. Exactly, if at all we used to have exactly 3 entities, then it is called as ternary relationship. Let us discuss in detail. So what is unary? When there is only one entity set participating in a relation, it is called as unary relationship. For example, let us take one example. This is an entity. Let us consider a person. This is an entity, right? A person will marry to a person only. Person marry to a person. That means here we have only one entity set which contains number of persons, multiple persons, and this is only one entity set. Here only a relationship. If at all, when there is only one entity set participating in a relationship, then it is called as unary relationship. So a person can marry to a person only, right? That is what here the relationship. So here when there are 2 entity sets participating in a relationship, then it is called binary relationship. Let us consider another example. The same example, student study in college. Student study in college. Here how many entities are there? 2 entities, student, college. Exactly 2 entities. So these 2 entities participates in through this relationship, right? So this is called as binary relationship. What is ternary? If at all we have exactly 3 entities, then it is called as ternary relationship. When there are exactly 3 entity sets participating in a relationship, then it is called ternary relationship. Let us see this one with an example. with a diagrammatic representation. So here relationships in DBMS, unary relationship, a person married to a person, here only we have one entity. This is what unary. What is binary? Here we have how many entities? Two entities, student enrolled in courses. Student is one particular entity, course is one particular entity set. And these two participates in a relationship, that is called as binary. What is ternary? If at all we have exactly three entity sets participating in a relation, then it is called as ternary relationship. So here employee works in department from some particular location, right? So here employee details will be stored, here department details will be stored in this entity set, and in this entity set the location details will be stored. This is what the degrees of relationship meant for. Next, mapping cardinalities or cardinality constraints or relationship constraints. So we can say mapping cardinalities. Cardinality is nothing but a particular number, right? The number which represents a number. So we can use the synonyms like mapping cardinality. This is only in the context of DBMS I am talking about, in the context of DBMS. So mapping cardinalities, cardinality constraints or relationship constraints. So here constraints means nothing but a set of rules, and we have many types of constraints that we will discuss in the later on sessions. So how we used to map with each other, right? That is the concept now I am going to deal with. So maximum number of relationship instances that an entity can participate is known as mapping cardinality. What is mapping cardinality? Maximum number of relationship instances that an entity can participate in is known as mapping cardinality. That means how many entity sets are related with number of how many entity sets. For example, this is an entity set, this is a relationship, and this is another entity set, right? So how many entity sets participates with the another entity? That means only one entity set participates with many entities, like that, one to one, one to many to one, and many to many. These are the four types of cardinality constraints or relationship constraints that we are going to deal with. And these can also be expressed as a number of entities to which other entity can be related through a relationship. And it is most useful in describing binary relationship sets. So let us discuss these types of cardinalities. So what are those? One to one, one to many to one, and many to many. These are different types of cardinality constraints that we are going to deal with. So what is one to one? When a single instance of an entity is associated with single instance of another entity, then it is called as one to one relationship. That means a person can have only one passport. A student can have only one roll number, right? He might not have different passports, or a student might not have different roll numbers. That is what we call as one-to-one relationship. And only single passport will be given to a single person, vice versa also, right? So here that is the meaning of this one. When a single instance of an entity is associated with single instance of another entity, then it is called as one-to-one relationship. For example, a person can has only one passport and only a passport is given to a single person, and diagrammatically it is represented as, so a person has, here this must be represented with a rhombus, right? Person has a passport, and here we are dealing with one-to-one relationship. That's why here I used to mention one-to-one. Next, one to many. So here a customer can have many account numbers, or a person can have many mobile numbers, that we call as one to many relationship. Even one entity set can have many mobile numbers, many account numbers, like that. So when a single instance of an entity is associated with more than one instance of another entity, then it is called as one to many relationship. See here, one customer can have many account numbers, one to many, right? So for example, a customer can have many account numbers, but one account number cannot be assigned to many customers. The same account number, it must not be assigned to many customers. But a customer can have many account numbers in different. That is one to many. Next, many to one. When more than one instance of an entity is associated with single instances of another entity, then it is called as many-to-one relationship. Let us deal with this one with an example. Many students can study in one college. Many number of students can study in one college, right? But a single college here, but a student cannot study in multiple colleges at a time. Only one. Here you must understand, many students can study in one college, but a student, single student cannot study in multiple colleges at a time. So this relationship is called as what? Many-to-one relationship. The diagram represents here many students can study in one particular college. That is what? Many-to-one relationship. So till now we have discussed three types of relationships: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and the last one is many-to-many, many-to-many relationship. When more than one instance of an entity is associated with more than one instance of another entity, then it is called as many-to-many relationships. For example, many customers can buy many number of products at a time. Many number of customers can buy products, many number of products at a time. This is the best example that can be considered as many-to-many relationship. So here a student can be, and one more example is, a student can be assigned to many projects. A student can do many projects, and a project can be assigned to many number of, single project also can be assigned to many students. So that is what the relationship many-to-many meant for. So in today's session, we have discussed, the summary of today's session is nothing but ER model, ER diagram, components of ER diagram, Next, what are those components? Entities, attributes and relationships. These are the three important components, and we have discussed the types of entities. What are those types? Strong entity, weak entity, and the types of attributes: single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute, derived attribute. So we have dealt with 6 types of attributes. And relationships. So how many relationships are there? Right, unary, binary, ternary relationships, and mapping cardinalities. What are the mapping cardinalities here? One-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one and many-to-many. Thank you.